everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, and in case you're new to this channel, you've probably been looking around the past couple of days going, wow, something kinda feels different about this place. That's right, every single year, we spend the entire month of October celebrating everything creepy and spooky and chilling, all in preparation for Halloween, because we just love this time of the year so gosh darn much, and this year, that trend is continuing and is spreading to Comic Class, as all month long, Comic Class is being renamed Comic Crypt. That's right, every single week this month we are going to have a brand new episode of Comic Crypt in which we talk about some of our favorite horror comics out there. And you know something, every single year that we do these spooky comic book episodes, I keep thinking to myself, man, I've talked about pretty much every single scary comic out there that I want to focus on. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about next year, and then the next year rolls around, and the comic book industry provides me with something new. So every single week this month, we're not just going to be talking about spooky comics, we're going to be talking about some fairly recent spooky comics that you can probably go out there and find at your local comic book store right now. And kicking it off is a book called Imaginary Fiends. Now, you might have heard me talk about this book before, or you might not have heard me talk about, because last year it was on our top 100 comics of the year list, but I think I accidentally called it Imaginary Friends. Yeah, I looked at the title way too quickly, and even though I was a massive fan of the book, for some reason my mind just kept processing it as Imaginary Friends, which I guess is what the wordplay is supposed to be, so you can't really blame me that much. But yes, last year it was on our top 100 comics of the year list. However, it was fairly low on the list simply because only 2 issues of it had come out. And I said if more issues of it had come out this year, it would definitely have been way higher on this list. Well, guess what? At the time of this recording, all 6 issues of the first run of this book are all complete. I am really hoping that they are going to come back with a season 2 because I love this concept and it is a brand of horror that I have never really seen. I've seen zombies up the wazoo, I have seen spooky vampires, I've seen werewolf comics, I've seen demons, I've seen ghosts. This is Imps. But not just Imps. No, Imp is an abbreviation in this world that stands for Interdimensional Mental Parasite. Although when you think of an imp, you might be picturing like some kind of a little goblin or a little demon-like character. No, the imps in this series are basically imaginary friends. They're the things that little kids see that they're convinced are really there, but adults can't see it. And the reason for that is because these creatures are actual living beings from an alternate reality, and they come into our world because they feed on emotions, namely affection, love, loyalty, but some of them also feed on fear. And most of these imaginary friends, they don't really do anything to cause any harm. They come into a child's life for a couple of years, but as the child matures, they eventually just lose that connection with the imaginary friend, and they fade away. But some of these imps actually grow stronger. They actually feed so much on these emotions that they stick around and are now capable of affecting things in the real world. And some of the people out there who form these bonds with these imps, they can still see them as they get older. And this series focuses on a character named Melba Lee. Now, Melba, when she was a little kid, had an imaginary friend called Polly Peachpit. Now you might hear that name and think to yourself, oh, that sounds adorable. What kind of a character is Polly Peachpit? Is she some little adorable strawberry shortcake style character? No, she is a giant Black Widow spider with a human torso sticking out of it and this pale white mask and just rows of jagged teeth. It's one of the best monsters I have seen in a comic book in years. The design on Polly Peachpit is fantastically chilling. And Melba Lee has spent the last couple years of her life trying to escape Polly Peachpit, and she's been trying to do that in a mental asylum, which she was sentenced to after Polly Peachpit forced her to kill her best friend when she was a little girl. Yeah, Her imaginary friend is not one of the good ones that just wanted to dissolve away after sucking in some love and affection. No, she kept wanting Melba to prove her love and affection, and she kept wanting to soak in all the other emotions that she possibly could. So Polly Peachpit, despite having an adorable name, is a horrendous monster. But there are other horrible imps out there. And there's actually a government agency that has been designed to track them down. But as I said, not everyone can see them. In fact, it's actually very rare for an adult to be able to see these creatures. So the fact that Melba Lee is one of the only adults out there who actually can see them means that this government agency does have to recruit her, despite the fact that she has a horrendous Black Widow spider serial killer for a best friend. From there, Melba and her new partner, who can't witness these imps, but he is trying his hardest to be able to see them. He keeps experimenting with so many different things to allow him to possibly see into this other dimension. And yeah, it's left him a little messed up. He's actually a very fascinating character because of how far he is willing to go for this job. But you know, it's not like he just goes down to the gym and gets buffer in order to be able to do his job better. It's not like he stays up at night just studying research in order to be able to do it better. No, he's got to try crazy stuff to open up his mind, but because he's that dedicated to the job. Again, such an original, unique character. We've all seen that government employee who's trying to be the best that he can. You know, that FBI guy who is trying to work his hardest to be able to solve this case. We've never seen the guy who's like, I am willing to do everything for my line of work, even if it includes completely screwing up my own brain. Never really seen that before. I find this character to be so intriguing, and I really always wanted to see what the next crazy thing was that they were going to do with him. But they end up going to this small town where all these people have been disappearing, and they believe it might be the work of an imp, and from there, it kind of becomes a little Twin Peaks-ish. It kind of becomes like, okay, there is a mystery here, and we have no idea who here is possibly involved in that mystery. So you've got this weird disappearing persons case, but at the same time, you also have the giant spider ghost in the background. Yeah, it is completely original. It is so rare that you run into a story like this and you can point at it and say, okay, even if I can see kind of some influences from other sources, I've never seen anything quite like this. So one of the things that makes this book so great is just this setup. It is just the originality behind it. And another thing that makes it such a good horror comic is just all these imaginary friends. You know, Polly Peachpit is very disturbing herself, but the imaginary friend that they run into who has been kidnapping all these people, yeah, that's even more disturbing. It's this weird combination of what is something in the real world that a child might be able to focus on, might be able to like form that in their mind, but then when you take it and stretch it out almost to a Cronenbergian level, what does it become? And I remember when I got to the big reveal of what the monster was, I had to put the book away for a little bit because I actually started to feel sick to my stomach. However, again, I already kind of said this with her partner, but to me, the thing that makes this book so incredibly good is the characters themselves. I think this book has fantastic characters, not just her partner, but Melba is great as well, because yeah, she got locked in a mental asylum when she was just a kid. And now she is finally out in the world by herself. Well, not entirely by herself. She does have her partner, but she is now allowed to actually go out and do things for herself. Actually explore the town a little bit. She's allowed to go to a bar for the first time in her life. And yeah, she does kind of have this thought in her head of, hey man, I kind of have to make up for lost time, but I don't really know how the real world works. Also, there is a demon constantly talking to me in my head that no one else can see. So that complicates things a little bit. But speaking of said demon, the imp Polly Peachpit, she's probably the best character in this entire thing. Because yes, she is a sociopathic monster who is trying to get Melba to just go off the deep end all over again. But she needs Melba to be alive. She needs her to be alive so that she can continue to live. And also, she kind of needs Melba to succeed at this mission, because if she doesn't, then Melba's gonna be locked away again, and that means Polly Peachpit is going to get locked away again. So you have a flat-out monster that is being forced to do good. She is being forced to actually try and help these people catch these other imps. But it gets revealed, hey, she kind of has her own emotional baggage left over from that alternate reality that she escaped from, and it's followed her here. But even beyond that, yeah, she needs emotions to survive. It's not like she is scaring people or forcing them to do things just because she's evil. No, she's doing it because that is literally her food. That is what sustains her. And there are a couple of moments in here in which, yeah, you see just how desperate she gets for these emotions. She gets just pushed to that edge where she just becomes sad at a point. You actually kind of feel for her when you see, oh, she's actually frightened of the idea of starving to death. So for creating one of the creepiest monsters in comic book history, for creating such amazing characters, both the main character and all the supporting characters, and for creating a setup that I've never really seen in a book, yeah, I would absolutely recommend this. But again, the fact that you can take even the big scary monster in here and make me really feel for them, that's what makes this a book that I just love recommending to people. I remember when people were coming into my store back when I worked at the comic shop and they just said that they wanted to try something new. This was a book that I always tried to get them to read. And that is what I'm continuing to do here on the very first episode of Comic Crypt. I promise you I will not say it that way every single time from here on out. But remember to come back next week for another episode of Comic Crypt where I will be recommending another spooky comic for you to check out. But check out all the other stuff that we're doing every single day here on this channel all throughout THORGIWEEN. And in case you have missed some of the other videos that we've been doing, I will go ahead and repeat myself that this is the first year that we're not just celebrating THORGIWEEN here on the YouTube channel, we're also doing it on Twitch. We're going to be streaming scary video games over at twitch.tv/ProfessorThorgy almost every single day this month. So make sure that you check us out here on YouTube and you check us out over on Twitch as well. And you can keep up to date with everything that we have planned by following us at twitter.com/ProfessorThorgy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and happy Halloween.